Right now, while you are watching this, part of your mind is somewhere else. It might be rehearsing a conversation that has not happened yet. It might be replaying something that happened yesterday. It might be composing a mental to-do list, worrying about something next week, or simply drifting without direction. This is not a character flaw. It is not laziness. It is not something wrong with you. It is the default operating mode of the human mind, and research suggests that your mind is wandering away from what you are actually doing approximately 47% of your waking hours. Nearly half your life. Half of every meal. Half of every conversation. Half of every moment with the people you love most. And the research on what this costs you, in happiness, in connection, in cognitive performance, in physical health, is sobering enough that presence is not just a spiritual aspiration. It is one of the most practical and most measurable investments you can make in the quality of your actual life. Mind wandering is not a modern invention. The human brain has a default mode network, a set of interconnected brain regions that activates automatically when you are not engaged in a specific external task. This network is responsible for self-referential thinking, mental time travel, imagining the future, replaying the past, and the kind of spontaneous thought generation that produces both creative insight and anxious rumination. It is not inherently pathological. In fact, some degree of mind wandering is essential for creativity, planning, and self-understanding. The problem is not that the default mode network exists. The problem is that it has become hyperactive, running almost continuously, even during activities that deserve and require your full attention, because modern life has systematically eliminated the conditions that allow it to rest and the conditions that allow directed attention to fully engage. The result is a mind that is technically present, but functionally elsewhere, and a life that is being lived at a fraction of its potential depth. Here is what the research says about what mind wandering actually costs. Studies tracking people's moment-to-moment happiness through random experience sampling pinging participants throughout the day, and asking what they are doing, where their mind is, and how they feel, have produced one of the most replicated findings in positive psychology. People are significantly less happy when their minds are wandering than when they are present, regardless of what they are doing. Not just less happy when they are thinking about unpleasant things, less happy when they are thinking about pleasant or neutral things too. The activity of mind wandering itself, the disconnection from present experience, is associated with lower well-being independent of the content of the wandering thoughts. Being present is not just more meaningful. It is measurably more enjoyable. And yet the mind keeps leaving, not because presence is difficult to achieve but because nothing in modern life is teaching it to stay. The second cost is relational. When you are physically present with someone but mentally elsewhere, planning your response while they are still talking, checking your phone between sentences, thinking about the next thing while they are sharing something that matters to them, you are not connecting. You are co-occupying space. And the people around you know the difference. Research on perceived responsiveness, the experience of feeling genuinely heard and understood by another person, shows that it is one of the most powerful predictors of relationship quality, trust, and intimacy. Full presence is not a gift you give others out of politeness. It is the fundamental raw material of genuine human connection. And in a culture where divided attention has become the norm, where it is considered acceptable to be half present in most interactions, the person who can offer full, undivided, genuinely attentive presence becomes something rare and profoundly valuable. The third cost is cognitive. Your working memory, the system that holds information in mind while you process and act on it, has a limited capacity. And research consistently shows that mind wandering consumes working memory resources, even when it feels passive and effortless. The person who is half thinking about something else while reading, working, or learning is not just less engaged. They are processing at reduced capacity, taking in less information, forming weaker memories, making more errors, and generating lower quality work than they would if their attention were fully directed at the task in front of them. Presence is not just a relational virtue. It is a cognitive performance multiplier. So why is presence so difficult, and what actually makes it more accessible? The first thing to understand is that presence is not the suppression of thought. It is not the elimination of the default mode network or the achievement of a thought-free state. Presence is the capacity to notice when your mind has wandered and return to the present experience, not once, but repeatedly, without frustration, without self-judgment, and without the meta-commentary of being annoyed at yourself for wandering. The wandering is not the failure. The failure is not noticing that you wandered. And the practice of presence is fundamentally the practice of noticing, developing the metacognitive awareness to catch the moment of departure and choose to return. The most evidence-backed practice for developing this capacity is formal meditation, specifically the practice of focused attention, where you direct your attention to a single object, the breath, a sound, a physical sensation, and practice noticing when it wanders and returning it. This practice does not work by making thought stop. It works by training the noticing, building the metacognitive muscle that eventually operates outside of formal meditation practice, in ordinary life, making it progressively easier to catch yourself in mid-wander and return to the present moment. The research on even modest amounts of this practice, 10 to 15 minutes daily over weeks, shows measurable improvements in sustained attention, working memory capacity, emotional regulation, and stress reactivity. Not because meditation is magical. Because attention, like any other capacity, responds to deliberate training. But formal practice is not the only path. There are specific conditions that reliably invite presence without requiring you to sit still and meditate. Single tasking, doing one thing at a time, with full attention, without switching, is one of the most practical and most immediately effective. Your brain was not designed for the kind of rapid attention switching that modern multitasking requires. What you experience as multitasking is actually rapid sequential attention switching, and it produces the same cognitive fragmentation as chronic mind wandering. Sensory engagement, deliberately directing attention to what you can see, hear, feel, smell, and taste in any given moment, activates the present focused attentional networks, and quiets the default mode network in ways that are immediate and accessible anywhere. And single conversation presence, giving one person your full attention for the duration of your time together, with phone out of sight and mind genuinely directed at them, is perhaps the most powerful presence practice available in ordinary daily life, because it produces the relational depth that mind-wandering costs and genuine attention provides. If you made it to the end of this video, notice where your mind is right now. Not as judgment, as information. Is it here with this content, with these ideas, in this moment? Or has it already moved to something else, something you need to do, something you are worried about, something that happened earlier today? That noticing, that simple act of checking where your attention actually is the beginning of everything. Start today with one fully present conversation. One meal eaten without a screen. One walk taken without earphones. Not as a performance of presence. As a genuine experiment in what it feels like to actually be where you are. Share this video with someone whose presence you miss, because sometimes the most loving thing you can do for a relationship is give it your full attention. Subscribe to continue this journey, because the next video is going to show you something that connects everything we have explored in this series: the neuroscience of habits, how behaviors become automatic, why bad habits are so hard to break, and the precise biological mechanism that allows you to build the kind of habits that last. See you there.